I think it's important for me to first establish the foundation of God's wisdom. Because a lot of times when I'm saying the word wisdom, if I don't clearly define biblically what wisdom means, we might have a totally different picture of what I'm saying by what I mean by wisdom. So I'm trying to define the terms. What does the Bible mean by wisdom? So here's the first point about wisdom, the foundation of wisdom. God's wisdom, or God, I should say, does everything for His glory and not yours. That's very important because a lot of times we are very selfish in the way we think about wisdom. God, give me wisdom so I know how to deal with this work situation and this health issue. That's not wisdom. You're asking for solutions to problems, but that's not wisdom. Because what was wisdom, as I mentioned before, is getting God's perspective about your life. And sometimes God's perspective means He doesn't intervene to solve the problem because you need this problem for you to spiritually grow. Because the goal of your life is not to avoid the trials of life. It's to go through the trials so that you will become steadfast and patient. And what? Verse 12 of chapter 1, stand approved by God in the end. That's the point of your life. So in order for you to get to that point of being approved, you have to go through certain things that God has already prepared for you. So wisdom cannot be, God, tell me how to bypass these problems and solve these problems, because you're making it about you. Wisdom has to be, God, give me your perspective so that I can glorify you even through these problems. It's the same way I say that the point of the Bible is not to read it and think about, how do I fit in this story? That's not the Bible. David is not the hero of his story. Abraham's not the hero of the story. You're not supposed to read the story of David like, be like David. That's not the point. The whole point of the Bible is not to be like, ooh, I want to be like Moses. Moses murdered a man and had to run away for 40 years, disobeyed God and broke, right? Every person has problems. So you don't read the Bible saying, how do I fit into the story or how the hero? The Bible's about God. The Bible's about God as a hero of Abraham. God is a hero of Moses. God is a hero of David. God is a hero of every story. That's what Hebrews chapter 11 is about. It goes through all these big, pictures of faith in the Old Testament, these great figures of faith, but it shows all the flaws to get to chapter 12 of Hebrews to say, therefore, in light of all these witnesses, keep going to whom? The author, perfecter of your faith, Jesus. All of the Old Testament prepares you for the perfecter of your faith, who is Jesus. So if the Bible's not about you, then what is it about? God does everything for His glory and not yours. The beginning of wisdom is the fear of the Lord, as Proverbs would say. And so here's the question. Why do we need wisdom then? We need wisdom to magnify God. Period. And if magnifying God's glory means that you have to suffer for a temporary time, then we should do so joyfully. If God's glory gets magnified by this temporary period of suffering, then we should be able to say amen to that. But you cannot agree with that unless you see things from God's perspective instead of your perspective. Do you see the gap there? How many of you can truly say amen if God took away a loved one from you? You can't. Emotionally, you can't. And so that's why you need God's wisdom, not to bring that dead family member back to life, but to bridge the gap between how you feel and what you know to be true. That God does everything for His glory, so if it's about His glory, that He's allowing this horrible thing to happen in my life because in His wisdom, it is this horrible thing that will bring more glory to Him than without it. How many of us plan for trials? We only plan for everything being perfect, right? So obviously in your wisdom, you wouldn't have planned your life the way it's gone up to this point, would you? So wisdom clearly, God's wisdom is clearly not about, hey, Andrew, you write your life and tell me what you want it to be. That's not wisdom. Wisdom now is this. I have God's perspective in hindsight to look back at those horrible things and see the blessings that came out of those things. You know, the way I say it is like this, the illustration I give. You know the difference between driving a car and being a passenger in the car. Now, when I drive a car, I'm a little paranoid because I used to work as an insurance adjuster after college. So I saw like 6 accidents a day. I know all the statistics of accidents and I know all this stuff. So one of the worst things is distracted driving. So I always tell the boys in the back, number 1 rule in the car, don't talk to daddy. Don't talk to the driver. I don't care if it's an emergency, you can wait, right? Don't talk to daddy. And they try to say something like, do you guys want to die? It's like, no, we don't want to die. Don't distract the driver, right? So it's always, because when you're driving, you're on high alert. Because literally the lives of the people in the car depend on you getting to that location. So I can't just be taking a nap or relaxing. You have to be high alert. You have to kind of see everywhere, 360 or 180, making sure you see all the spots and the lights and all these. It's high stress when you're driving the car. But when you're a passenger of the car, you can take a nap. You can read a book. You can listen to a podcast. You don't even need to be aware of what street you're on. Because if you trust the driver, you know you'll get to the destination regardless of what you do or do not do in the car, right? You know why so many of us are stressed out in our life? Because we think that we're driving the car of our life when God is the one driving our car. You know why God says don't be anxious for anything? It's his way of saying, I'm the one driving your life. And you know what's the worst thing you could do as a passenger? Is be a backseat driver. Oh, actually, I don't think I would have turned that way. Actually, I think you should have... It's like, shut up! You're not driving! Listen, God is the one driving your life because it's about his glory, not yours. So he's not asking for your input of how he should drive or where he should turn, and you could disagree with him, but it's about his glory in the end. He knows what he's doing, and you don't. Now, you can choose to stress out and watching him drive, or you can take a nap. You can relax. You know what? Whatever. My job, it's all in God's hands anyways, so why am I worrying about it? It's like you being in the passenger seat, like pushing the brake when there's no brake in front of you. Well, why? Do you see why we're so stressed out? We've had completely wrong picture of who's driving the car in your life. You're not driving the car in your life. And the only way you can get to that understanding is through God's wisdom, to see things from his perspective. And he lets you go through trials to remind you, I'm the one driving the car in your life, not you. You thought you were in sovereign control. This trial reminds you I'm in sovereign control. Because your money cannot solve this problem. Money can solve a lot of problems, but can't solve every problem that comes in your life. Right? Have you guys ever been in a situation where money cannot solve that problem? I don't care how rich you are not going to solve the problem with death. Every single one of us will face death. And so you have two choices. Let God drive the car and relax and trust him. Or unnecessarily waste your life stressing about how fast the car is going or where it's turning when you're not even in control at all. That's wisdom. The wise person relaxes in the hands of God because he or she knows God is doing everything for his glory and not mine.